Alright, Shalom. I want to start this lesson off by giving all praises, honors, and glories due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakah, Kodash. Alright, what I just said in the ancient Hebrew is, well, not in the ancient Hebrew, but Yahweh being the name of the Heavenly Father, Ba'ashem, means in the name, Yahweh Shai being the name of the only begotten Son, right, which those names means He is, Yahweh being He is, and Yahweh Shai being He is the deliverer. Ba'ashem in the name, Rakah Kodash, meaning the Holy Spirit, which guides and comforts us, right, in these days. I'm trying to make sure I control my voice. It's kind of late, and I have my window open, so I don't want my neighbors to hear me. Double honors to our apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone, okay, who rule and teach well. And also I want to say peace, blessings, and salutations to the elect, wherever you may be, scattered across the four corners of the earth. May the blessing of election be upon you and your households. Now, as you guys can see here, okay, I have the Medici family, the Medicis, right? And I want to just do a quick history video, right? A quick history video on who the Medicis are. Now, I'm also going to go into my channel, right? Because there's something I need to... Let's go into the community post. Okay, it looks like I'm live right now. As you guys can see, I'm live. But let me go into the community, and let me just scroll down to... I want to show you guys a few icons. This is the House of Warwick, which I did a video on the history of Russia. This is Ivan the Terrible. Ivan the Terrible was a Jake. Okay. This is Peter the Great. See if I can get a better picture. Okay, so you can't really see it on desktop, but if you go on mobile phone, you'll be able to see the picture a little bit more clear, right? That's Peter the Great. Let's scroll down. This is Joan of Arc. That's how she looks. She was a so-called black woman that achieved military victories over England during the 100 Years' War that happened during the 1400s, going into the 1500s. And 100 Years' War was just like a series of long conflicts, because the monarchy of England and the monarchy of France at one time intertwined with each other, right? So they kind of became the same family, and that also brought a lot of conflicts, strife, and just a whole lot of wars, because one side of the family didn't like what the other side of the family was doing. Okay, so this is the Medici family. This is Alessandro de Medici. Right? I believe he's the son of Lorenzo. In fact, I could go ahead and look it up. Alessandro, father. Yep, Lorenzo de Medici. That's his father, Lorenzo de Medici. And you can tell, even though they whitewashed this image, that looks like him. That looks like him. Lorenzo de Medici, Duke of Urbino. Okay, and the Medici family were they became one of the most powerful families during the Renaissance period, right? And they were not always wealthy, and they were also the first banking dynasty family to ever exist. And it was all Jake. This is him again. You can clearly see that this is a Jake right here. You can clearly see. Now, something I noticed during the Renaissance period was that the Jake stopped wearing their beards. right? Because during that time, Esau, okay, Esau was coming up into power during this time period. So the culture of Europe started to shift from having beards and big scruffy beards to looking all clean shaven, right? Like you see here, okay. You can see his little goatee, his scruff. So these jakes were shaving their beards, to fit in with society. This is Jeremiah 2 verse 33. It says, "Why trimmest thou thy way to seek love?" Okay. Therefore hast thou also taught the wicked ones thy ways. So our people were trimming their ways to seek love by what? By following after the devil and his mannerisms. Okay. We keep on going. This is Piero di Lorenzo. Okay. Alright, he is also the brother of Alessandro, as you can see here. Right, he's the eldest son of Lorenzo de Medici. You could tell this is a Jake. I mean, if you can't tell this is a Jake, then I don't know what to tell you. You can see the curly hair, the big puffy curly hair, right? Big lips, okay. The broad nose. You could tell by the facial features, even though they whitewashed this image, you can clearly see that this is an Israelite, okay. Piero di Lorenzo de Medici, and he's also the brother of Alessandro de Medici. Okay, this is a Lorenzo. Okay, Lorenzo the Magnificent. You can't see how he looks, but you can clearly see the. In fact, let me do this real quick. Yep, this is how he looks. Right, that's how he looks. You can clearly see that this is a Jake. Okay, they call him Lorenzo the Magnificent. Lorenzo de Medici, right? And he has that curly, kind of relaxed hair, right, coming down. You can see that he shaved his beard, right? He has the broad nose, thick lips, right? Well, not really thick lips. He has kind of like thin lips. So in here they made him look like an Edomite. Now we don't know if this is the real image or what. Okay, here it is. This is a better image of him. You can see he's a little bit darker here, but in all the other images you see that he's a little bit lighter. But this is Alessandro and Piero de Lorenzo's father. Okay, now if this is the father of the Medicis, right, of Alessandro, right, then you can tell that he was a so-called black man. He was just very light-skinned. That's all. He's a light-skinned black man that looked like this, right? You can also look at the statue, and you could clearly see that's a Jake. You can clearly see that's a Jake. He's not as dark as the others, right? But you can see the brown skin tone, right? Because Israel is many shades of brown. We're not only just very dark skin, we're also light skin among our people. So there you go. That's Lorenzo the Magnificent, and he's the one that really brought the Medici family to its fame, okay, with its efforts during the Renaissance period. So there you go. I'm going to show you a little bit more images. That's the father. Another more image of Alessandro. This is Cosimo Medici, and Cosimo was like the grandfather, right, or the father of Lorenzo the Magnificent. And you can see that this is a Jake too. You can clearly see that this is a Jake. Brown skin tone, right? He has the wide nose, thick lips. Again, no beard. Why? Because during this time period, Jake was shaving their beards, man. Because it was the Renaissance. The beard was out of fashion, out of style during this time period. Okay, and Cosimo, he ended up becoming the Pope of Rome. And I'm gonna give you guys a little fun fact: the Medici family and one other family, I forgot who. There were two Israelite families during Rome, No, not during the Renaissance period. I was fighting for the papacy, and they all hated the Borgia family. Okay, they all hated the Borgia family. So that's Jake right there, you know, because the Borgia family were doing a lot of things that was wicked. I mean, they were changing the religious aspect. Okay, the religious aspect. I guess this is supposed to be Cosimo. Okay, this is Cosimo the First. Wow, look at that. That's Cosimo the First, Medici. That's Cosimo. Look at that. Cosimo, bro. That's the spirit because people think he's a so-called white man, but this is how he looks, Cosimo. And this was before he got older, so you can clearly see that he has the beard, right? He has the beard on him. Cosimo the First, the Medici. You can clearly see he has the beard. But in other images, right? In other images, uh, they made him look like a so-called white man, right? And this is him when he became a pope. Okay, so this is the same person. This is him when he was younger, and this is when he became a pope. So you can clearly see, look, this is when he was younger. This is a Jake right here. Oh man, this is a Jake. I'm gonna look for this image. I'm gonna add it to my repertoire, because I'm all into the icons. You know what I'm saying, and the history. So this is Cosimo the First de Medici. This is when he was younger. He had the beard on, right? The beard. Then as he got older, he shaved his beard. The same person, he shaved his beard. So there you go. So let's keep moving on. This is I forgot who this is, but I think, oh bro, I forgot who this is. Let me see. Medici that became Pope and Cardinal. Okay, this is Giuliano de Medici. Giuliano. Giuliano de Medici. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Even though this is a bust of him, it looks like a Jake. You can see the curly hair and whatnot. But this is not what I'm looking for. This is not who I'm looking for, though. I don't know who this fat guy is, but I believe he's one of the Medicis, but I forgot his name. I forgot his name. I think he's related to Cosimo the First. You can't really see the name on the top. This is Catherine de Medici. Catherine de Medici. She's also known as the Black Queen of France because she married one of the French kings during the 1600s, and she's known as the last powerful but I've seen lots of black women that look just like her, especially here. Uh, this woman right here, half Puerto Rican, half black, so-called mix or whatever, right? I've seen lots of black women that look just like this. Uh, I dealt with a woman that looked just like her. I've talked to a woman that looked just like her, and they were so-called black women, right? That right, but when you see the picture online, mix of Mariah Carey and I forgot this other Israelite woman, this chick, but she looks like a mix of two Israelite women. and political dynasty who held great power in Florence from the 15th to the 18th century. Originate in the Mugello region of Tuscany. The early records of the Medicis date back to around 1046 when the Medico di Patron, or Patrone. As little is known about the early ancestors. Historians have pondered whether the original family profession was a medical one, as Medici in Italian means doctors. Now, they could have been doctors, but history is not too clear on that. It says, however, this is more speculation, and the true Medici dynasty began in 1360 with the birth of Giovanni di Medici. Okay, at this point, the family name was settled in Florence, and the origins of the Medici Bank were born too, with the help of his uncle Vieri di Medici. Right, Vieri di Medici. Let's see if we can find. They whitewashed a lot of the Medici icons. Only the bronze bust can tell the story about how they look like. Let's look for Vieri de Medici. Okay, the first great Medici. They're saying that this is name with a future of wealth and prosperity. And this is the supposed founder, okay, of the Medici dynasty. Okay, you can clearly see, the images look whitewashed, right? He didn't look like this. He clearly looked darker. He was definitely darker than this because his uncle, right? Some of the icons you can see it's crystal clear that they're Israelites, and some, Esau has whitewashed them to a T. So let's get back into it, right? Giovanni officially named and founded the Medici Bank in 1397. by which time he was handling the accounts of the church and had branches throughout northern Italy and beyond. And you have a lot of Israelites in northern Italy. We know we always talk about southern Italy because of the mafia and the La Cosa Nostra and the Intrigante, right? And all these different mafia family, all these different mafia criminal organizations that's in southern Italy. But northern Italy has a lot of Israelites too. Despite his growing wealth and success, Giovanni worked hard to remain disconnected from the state and its politics, choosing to pay fines rather than accept positions of responsibility within a Florentine government. Furthermore, he made diligent efforts not to separate the Medici family from its fellow citizens, dressing himself and his sons in average working class clothes so as not to draw attention to them. Continued to grow, expanding its business across Europe. Their main source of power, though, came from the head of all the papal finances. The Medicis had the power to threaten. They take it to an extreme. With this growth, however, came competition, and a Medici bank soon faced opposition from other Florentine families, such as Albizzi, right? Which the Albizzi family were Israelites, and so were the Corsi and Corsi, now recognized as street names in Florence. This instability meant that Cosimo's power was not absolute, despite his influence across many walks of Florentine society. Not just a skilled banker, Cosimo was also renowned for his patronage and artistic taste. And if you don't know, the Florence, Italy, right, is like the artistic capital for Italy. And part of the reason why that is because the Medici family spent a lot of money beautifying the city up in Italy. Okay, he liberally donated much of the family fortune to enriching Florence and to what is now referred to as the Italian Renaissance or Renaissance, and in French Renaissance. His passion for religion and the arts is symbolized today by the famous Florence Cathedral. Okay, he was religious, right? I reckon that Israel has the zeal of the Most High, but not according to knowledge, or Duomo di Firenze, which I'm going to go ahead and get that. This is Romans 10 verse 2. And for I bear them record that they have a zeal of the Most High, but not according to knowledge. Okay, so even though these Medicis, these Israelites, they believed heavily in the Most High, and they believed in the arts and whatnot. They were just going about to establish their own righteousness. They didn't come under the righteousness of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And also during that time, the books were sealed. So you really couldn't get the true knowledge of the true understanding of what the Bible meant, because at that time the books were sealed. Even honorary title. Yeah, father. There's a painting, right? A painting that the Medici family had, Michelangelo. Let me see. I don't think it was the Medici family that commissioned it, but there was a painting that someone got Michelangelo to do, and it was of Jacob. You know, Jacob receiving a dream uh, from the Most High. Okay, it says today their influence can be seen across Florence from their sculpture collection in the Galleria degli Uffizi to the Borboli Gardens designed specifically for them, and now enjoyed as a historic park for the public. The rich history and fascinating rise to power of the Medici dynasty has even sparked a TV series which is set to run for a third season. Following the success of the first, Medici, Masters of Florence, it follows the death of Giovanni and the succession of Cosimo I, his son, at a point where the Medici name was snowballing into its eminence. And I was very disappointed in this show because they kept, it English, like an English cast. This is a show. Well, let me not say this is a family that came out of Italy, so these people should be speaking Italian. you know, the making of the show and its success goes some way in demonstrating the influence this family had and their unrivaled rise to power, from simple merchants to owners of the largest bank in Europe, sparking an economic and cultural revolution. And the Medici family were the main uh, people that were behind the Renaissance period, right? They were one of the main influential factors behind the Renaissance period. Once you get into history, you're gonna find you're gonna find out that a lot of Jakes helped with the Renaissance period. A lot of Jakes helped with the Renaissance period. So let me go ahead and get this scripture right here, right? This is Jeremiah 10, verse 16. It says here, the portion is Jacob is not like them, right? For he is the former of all things. And Jacob's portion is very different than the rest of the nations. And Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Lord of hosts is his name. So Jacob's the former of all things that you see on the earth, right? Even wickedness. You could say wickedness too, to a certain extent. You know, that's what it means to be a son of the Most High, a son of God. We always are the trendsetters and the pioneers of every movement that took place on this earth, and it's no different. During the Renaissance period, you had the biggest and most popular family during the Renaissance period, right? And they were all Israelites, so-called Negroes from the tribe of Judah. From dark skin to very light. Okay, so there you go, the Medici family, an Israelite family that pretty much, took power during the Renaissance period. Okay, it says here, the Medici family. Just a little bit more history. The Medici family didn't start out as the most powerful family in Italy. Other families were just as rich and just as ambitious, right? But no one knew more about getting ahead and staying ahead than the Medici. That's Jake. They clawed their way to the top, sometimes through bribery, corruption, and violence, and those who stood in their way could end up humiliated or dead. And the Medici family exploited a network of friends, hangers on who would do anything to stay close to the family. So they were kind of like the mafia. That's Jake. For the Medici, the network of amici degli amici, the magic words in Renaissance Italy, was the key to fame, fortune, and survival. The power of the Medici stretched all the way to Rome, where even the papacy was something to be bought and sold. It says here, the Medici family created a lucrative partnership with another medieval power, the Catholic Church, in what had to be one of the most ingenious enterprises of all time. The Medici bank collected 10% of your earnings for the church. If you couldn't pay, you faced excommunication, a one-way ticket to quote-unquote hell. And excommunication at that time was very, very, very serious, right? Because it was our people that were, uh, you know, there during that time. They took excommunication very seriously, right? Because we're religious. Remember, we have a zeal of the Most High, but not according to knowledge. The nation of Israel is zealous like that. So when you excommunicate a Jake from the church, they start bugging out because they think that they have risked their chance of salvation. The Pope himself had a massive overdraft, and the Medici Bank became the most profitable business in Europe. By 1434, half the bank's revenue came from the Rome branch, which was in fact a little more than a mobile bank that followed the Pope around the world. Papal connections gave the Medici Bank immense power. Soon everyone wanted to count with the Pope's personal bank. On one occasion, the nomination of a new bishop was delayed until his father, a cardinal, had repaid their debts to the Medici Bank. That's how powerful they were. And the Medici Bank kept ahead of their banking